Welcome back to Real Confession Stories, the channel where secrets come out, emotions run deep, and stories unfold that people usually take to their graves. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because these stories don't just entertain, they stay with you. Turn on notifications so you never miss a confession that might change how you see the world. Now let me tell you mine. My name is Ryan. I'm 25 years old, and I work as a software developer at a small tech company just outside the city. Most of my days are predictable. Code meetings, coffee, deadlines, sleep, repeat. But what happened on one ordinary day changed everything I thought I knew about myself, about boundaries, and about how quickly life can take a turn you never see coming. This isn't a story I ever planned to tell. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's real. And once it started, there was no stopping it. I've known Ethan since college. We met during our first year. Same classes, same late-night study sessions, same cheap food runs at 2 a.m. Over the years, friendship turned into routine. Even after graduation, even after life pulled us in different directions, we stayed close. I visited his house often. It felt familiar, comfortable, like a second home. And that's where Linda comes in. Ethan's mom, Linda, wasn't what most people imagine when they hear friend's mother. She had this presence, a kind of warmth that filled a room. Without her trying, she laughed easily, spoke openly, listened in a way that made you feel seen. Every time I visited, I found myself talking to her, sometimes longer than I talked to Ethan himself. At first, I told myself it was harmless, just conversation, just admiration. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. She was beautiful, not in a flashy, trying too hard way, but in a confident, natural, effortless way. There was something about her smile, about the way she held herself, about the calm energy she carried. And no matter how much I tried to ignore it, I was drawn in. One afternoon, I had a rare free day. No meetings, no deadlines, no responsibilities pulling me in 10 directions. On impulse, I grabbed my keys and drove over to Ethan's place. I didn't call, didn't text. I told myself it would be a surprise, a spontaneous catch-up like old times. I wasn't expecting anything else. At least, that's what I told myself. When I pulled up and knocked on the door, I heard footsteps. The door opened. It was Linda. She looked genuinely surprised, then immediately smiled. That warm, familiar smile. "Ryan," she said, laughing softly. "Well, this is unexpected." I smiled back, rubbing the back of my neck. "Yeah, I thought I'd surprise Ethan." She raised an eyebrow playfully. "He didn't mention anything." Then she stepped aside. "Well, he's not home right now," she said. "But you're welcome to come in." Almost on cue, the sky darkened. Rain started falling. Light at first, then suddenly heavy. Within seconds, the sound of rain pounding against the roof filled the air. Linda glanced toward the window, then back at me, a knowing smile forming. "Well," she said, crossing her arms lightly, "you're definitely not going anywhere in this." She laughed. "Looks like you'll have to stay a while." And secretly, I was glad. She led me into the living room. The rain outside created this quiet, insulated atmosphere, like the world had shrunk down to just that room. She offered me tea. We sat across from each other, talking about work, life, and of course Ethan. Her laughter was soft, easy. Every so often, our eyes would meet, and linger just a second longer than normal. I noticed everything. The way she sat back comfortably, the way she crossed her legs without a second thought, the calm confidence in her posture. She was 50, yes, but nothing about her felt old. Her energy felt timeless. At some point, the conversation slowed. She tilted her head slightly and smiled. "So Ryan," she said, "you've gotten awfully quiet." I chuckled nervously. "So, I guess I just didn't expect to be here like this. Just the two of us." She studied me for a moment, then smiled. "Well," she said softly, "I don't mind the company." And something shifted. As the storm continued outside, the conversation turned more personal. She talked about her younger years, dreams she once had, How life didn't always turn out the way she expected. I listened. Really listened. Every word pulled me in deeper. She wasn't just Ethan's mom in that moment. She was a woman with a story, and I felt honored she was sharing it with me. Hours passed. The rain didn't slow down. Linda glanced at the clock. "Looks like this storm isn't going anywhere," she said. "You might not be able to make it home tonight." I nodded slowly. "Yeah, I don't think so either." She hesitated for half a second, then smiled. "You can stay here if you want. Ethan's room is down the hall." Grateful, and more than a little excited, I agreed. She brought out extra blankets and set them on the couch. As she handed them to me, our fingers brushed. Just briefly, but it was enough. She didn't pull away. Neither did I. She looked at me differently now. Softer. Closer. "You know," she said quietly, "I've always thought you were charming." My heart started racing. It's been really nice talking like this. Just us. I swallowed hard. "I feel the same way, Linda." The air between us felt heavy, unspoken, charged. She leaned closer. Slowly. I could smell her perfume. Time felt suspended. And in that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The room felt quieter than before. Not silent. Just heavy. The rain outside kept falling, steady and relentless, like it was trying to drown out everything happening inside that house. Linda was still close to me. Too close to ignore. Close enough that I could feel her warmth without touching her. Neither of us spoke for a moment. Sometimes, silence says more than words ever could. She pulled back just slightly, enough to look at me properly. Her expression had changed. Not playful. Not teasing. Thoughtful. "Ryan," she said quietly, "we both know this isn't simple." I nodded. "I know," I replied. "And I know what this looks like." She exhaled slowly, resting her hands together in her lap. "This isn't just about attraction," she continued. "It's about choices and consequences." Her words hit harder than anything else that night. Because she was right. For the first time since I arrived, Ethan came rushing back into my mind. My friend. The person who trusted me. The reason I was even in that house. I looked down, running a hand through my hair. "I never planned for this," I said honestly. "I didn't come here expecting anything." She studied me, searching my face like she wanted to understand the truth behind my words. "I believe you," she said softly. "But sometimes the most dangerous things are the ones we don't plan." We sat there, side by side now, not touching. The rain softened. The storm outside was slowly losing its intensity, but the storm inside me was just beginning. "I need to ask you something," she said after a long pause. "Okay. Are you feeling this because it's me, or because it's forbidden?" That question stayed with me. I didn't answer right away, because the truth was uncomfortable. "I think," I said slowly, "I noticed you long before tonight." She looked at me, surprised. "Not like this," I continued, "but every time I came over. The way you listened. The way you laughed. The way you made me feel like I mattered." Her expression softened. "That's dangerous," she whispered. "For both of us." "I know. And I meant it." Linda stood up first. Not abruptly, but with intention. She walked to the window, watching the rain slow to a drizzle. "We can't pretend this didn't happen," she said. "But we also can't pretend it can continue." I stood too, a few steps behind her. "I don't want to hurt Ethan," I said. "That's the last thing I want." She turned toward me then. "And I don't want to hurt him either," she replied. "He's my son." That was the moment everything became clear. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just real. She took a deep breath. "This stays here," she said firmly. "This night. This feeling. It doesn't leave this room." I nodded. Agreed. She looked relieved. And sad. At the same time. She handed me the blankets again, this time without our fingers touching. "Get some rest," she said. "I'll see you in the morning." As she walked away down the hallway, I stood there longer than I should have, listening to the house settle, listening to my own thoughts spiral. I slept, but not deeply. The rain had stopped by morning. Sunlight streamed through the windows like nothing had happened. Linda was already up, making coffee. We spoke casually, normally, like two people who shared a secret but never said it out loud. Ethan still wasn't home. And somehow, that made it worse. When it was time to go, she walked me to the door. Our eyes met one last time. No words, just understanding. I stepped outside and drove away. That night never repeated itself. And maybe that's what made it unforgettable. I still see Linda sometimes. At family gatherings, holidays, casual visits. We're polite, friendly, but there's always something unspoken in the air. A shared memory. A moment that almost became something more. I learned something that day. Attraction doesn't care about timing. Desire doesn't ask for permission. And some boundaries only become clear when you almost cross them. I don't regret leaving, but I'll never forget staying. If you've ever been in a situation where one choice could change everything, you understand exactly how this felt. If this story made you think, or reminded you of something you never talk about, subscribe to Real Confession Stories. Because some secrets don't fade. They just learn how to stay quiet.